18 months until the Oceanic Future. Spotted Leaf 100 is playing on the US server Greifental. He started 18 months ago and is now in the Oceanic Future. This impressed me so much that I decided to make a video about him and his city. He wrote me about his way through the ages. I started playing this game casually. In the beginning, I built every great building I could. Then I stumbled upon the heavy quest guide. I learned one thing from it: the importance of not building every great building. I was in the progressive era 9 months ago when I decided to prioritize my great buildings. I deleted the bad ones and even deleted the Royal Orbit Hall. I decided it would be better to use the space for goods buildings and just rely on the Lighthouse of Alexandria for the supply bonus. I was successfully completing guild expedition every week, and I managed to get a few of those terrace farms. After staying in progressive era for a while, I worked on getting Lighthouse of Alexandria, St. Mark's Cathedral, Alcatraz, Temple of Relics, Statue of Zeus, Innovation Tower, Cathedral of Aachen, Castel del Monte and the Observatory to levels 5 or 6, attack buildings to 10 of course. Those were my only great buildings. Then I was forced to move up to modern era because an event required me to research a tech. All of a sudden I found out I needed unrefined goods to produce current age goods. With limited space and population, I decided to use my terrace farms for goods instead of forge points. I upgraded my terrace farms to modern era. Along with other good buildings, I traded goods up and down to move further in the tech tree. By this time, I was part of a good forge point swapping team, and most of my forge points rewards I just kept in storage and used only my daily forge points for swapping and techs. Suddenly, I realized the more I stayed in an age, the more special buildings I would get that would need to be upgraded, and I would always feel broke constantly trading all of my goods for higher age, for techs and some of the other great buildings that I didn't have, like Chateau Frontenac, the Ark, the Dynamic Tower, while trying to keep enough goods to negotiate guild expedition. So I decided I'm going to make it my goal to move up in the ages just to make it easier to get higher age goods as well as get more expansions for goods buildings. I saved of many thousands of forge points and I had maybe 6 terrace farms. I raced through the modern era and postmodern era all the way to contemporary era. By this time I was producing a lot of goods, so it was fairly easy to make that jump. I skipped building military buildings, negotiated guild expeditions, and this saved me a lot of space for more goods buildings, as well as less population buildings, therefore less happiness buildings. My whole city was devoted to goods and forge points producing buildings, with the least amount of great buildings as possible. I waited to build Chateau Frontenac, the Ark and Dynamic Tower so I could use the space for goods and forge points buildings. Waiting to build those great buildings saved me a lot of goods to use for techs and made it cheaper to build at a higher age, but the terrace farms were absolute key to moving up in the ages. The terrace farms allowed me to slow down on the continent map because I didn't need goods deposits. The extra space with less population buildings, etc. allowed me to throw in every special building I got. Event buildings, shrines of knowledge, tribal squares, wishing wells, etc. Then I stumbled upon those anti-aircraft vehicles while in contemporary era. Wow! Those are the best troops in this game. Suddenly I found I could complete guild expedition every week very easily with just anti-aircraft buildings. I kept champions, drummers, etc. so my Alcatraz only produced rogues this whole time. And while in contemporary, just rogues and anti-aircraft vehicles, of course. It turns out that contemporary goods are in high demand, so it's easy to trade contemporary goods for tomorrow goods. I stayed in contemporary era a few months because I was so excited how easy it was to fight in guild expedition. The contemporary era is a perfect era to race to and stay for a little while. During contemporary, I accumulated more terrace farms, a total of 12, got massive amounts of other good stuff from guild expedition. I raced through the continent map to tomorrow era with the anti-aircraft vehicles. I used the goods from terrace farms to trade for tomorrow goods for the next tech tree, and I built the Chateau Frontenac. Wow! When I finally decided to move to tomorrow era, I was still completing guild expedition easily with the anti-aircraft vehicles, as well as racing through the continental map for tomorrow era. I never built anything from the tomorrow era. I built my arc as I bought the goods with forge points, as well as the goods needed for the future tech tree. I jumped to the future era. I managed to upgrade all of my terrace farms with renovation kits while in the future era. While in the future era, I focused on getting Alcatraz and Innovation Tower high enough so that I need the least amount of population and happiness buildings. Producing future goods with terrace farms turned out to be a good move because they are so high in demand that you can trade them up or down for any good. Also, those anti-aircraft vehicles were still getting me through most of guild expedition, even in the future era. And I used anti-aircraft vehicles to get through most of the future map. All of a sudden, this Kraken Great building came out. I decided to get it as soon as possible. Then I stumbled upon the best part of my strategy in this game, aside from building terrace farms, which I call the friend list strategy. In order to get prints, I looked in the global rankings for players who had Krakens and sent them invites so I could snipe the blueprint rewards as their Krakens went up. Next, I needed Oceanic Future goods, so I looked at the top 50 players in the Oceanic Future era and sent them invites so I could trade with them in the market. Suddenly, my market was filled with top-level players offering Oceanic Future goods. Once I realized how important friends are for trading, I tossed my guildies off my friends list. I stopped worrying about player taverns and I focused on building my friends list in two ways. The lower half players, whose buildings I meet in my neighborhood every couple weeks and who don't swap forge points, so their great buildings are consistently snipeable for forge point rewards. and the upper half with top-ranking players who consistently offer good trades in the market for high-edge goods. After spending a little time trading future goods for Oceanic Future goods to build my Kraken, I decided it would be easier just to produce them in the Oceanic Future era. So I raced through the rest of Future era and through Arctic Future as fast as the Prometheum productions allowed me to do. I upgraded many of my terrace farms and other buildings to Arctic Future and made it to the Oceanic Future. The only change I had to make in the Arctic Future was using Hoover tanks, a Future era troop, for guild expeditions and the Arctic Future map. I upgraded most of my terrace farms to Arctic Future era as well as many of my special buildings. I also built the dynamic tower in the Arctic Future era to help get a few Oceanic Future goods from my new friends when aiding. My friends list now consists of about 50 high-ranking players in the Oceanic Future era who offer good trades and about 40 very low-ranking players who contribute forge points to their own great buildings. This gives me a steady supply of almost any good as well as a consistent supply of forge point rewards from great buildings. Now I just need to learn to fight better in guild expeditions with Oceanic Future troops. But it turns out having a well mix of terrace farms and other special buildings upgraded to Future era or Arctic Future era also turned out to be a great move. Because most of the high-ranking players that moved into Oceanic Future era early have no way of producing future goods for trading or Arctic Future goods for negotiating. So now I have no need to produce Oceanic goods because as long as I produce the two single hardest goods to get in this game, Future and Arctic Future, I can use them to get any other good I need, even Oceanic Future goods. Between Progressive and Oceanic Future, the only time I've needed to produce standard goods buildings was for a short time through Contemporary. That is a story he told me. You will notice that he did some things very different to what I am recommending. I'm never recommending to delete great buildings as all invested forge points would be lost then. He did it and developed faster. But think twice before you make such a decision. An impressive development, and I just wanted to share with you how different people use the possibilities this game is offering.